The day Ethan's long-lost one that got away flew back into town, I booked her the finest private ward at the city's most exclusive maternity hospital. Ethan stared at me. "Have you lost your mind?" I smiled. "She's carrying twins, after all." Thoughtful of me, don't you think? His face turned thunderous. "Clara, Amelia's just under the weather. Must you be so vicious?" Vicious. I swiped through my phone, then tossed the photos I'd just received down in front of him. The pictures showed Amelia curled up in a foreign man's arms, her stomach perfectly flat, grinning from ear to ear. The timestamp read, "Yesterday. This ward is perfect for that two-month-old bastard she's carrying." Amelia Lane was the woman Ethan had carried a torch for since college, the one that got away. The unattainable ideal he'd pined after ever since. She'd dumped him back then to move abroad, cementing her status as the thing he wanted most but could never have. And me, I was his second best suitable option. Good family. Docile temperament handpicked by his mother as the perfect fiancé. 3 years engaged, and all we shared was polite, frosty formality, respectful on the surface, cold as ice beneath, until Amelia called from overseas, voice thick with tears, saying she missed him. Ethan booked the earliest flight out that same day. Before he left, he'd touched my face with rare tenderness. "Take care of things at the office for me, Clara. I'll be back soon." I nodded, docile as ever. He'd probably forgotten that 3 years ago. My father's capital had pulled his failing little startup from the brink of bankruptcy and built it into the Hayes Group it was today. What's more, he'd forgotten that for 3 years, I'd been the one holding down headquarters, keeping all those vulture-like veteran shareholders in line. Amelia's flight touched down while I was leading the quarterly earnings meeting. My phone lit up with a compressed file from the private investigator I'd hired. I opened it, page after page of high-definition photos. Amelia and a blue-eyed blonde man, kissing goodbye at the airport, making out in the back of a car, in the hotel lobby, his hand sliding up her dress. The last few shots were taken outside a hospital, the gynecology wing. I closed the photos and pointed out a data discrepancy in the report. My expression completely unchanged. The CFO broke out in a cold sweat. The second the meeting ended, Ethan's call came through. The background was noisy, and I could just make out the soft, breathy cough of a woman. "Clara, Amelia. She's really unwell. She started throwing up right after getting off the plane, and she's running a fever. I'm taking her to the hospital first. I'll call you later." His voice was thick with poorly concealed concern and anxiety. I hummed calmly in response. "All right. Which hospital?" "I'll have Paige send over some essentials." He seemed surprised by my generosity. Pausing for a beat. "City General." "Got it." I hung up and called Paige immediately. "Book the top VIP suite at Concord Maternity Hospital, the one with a sterile delivery room." Paige was clearly confused. "Ms. Morgan, what is this for?" "It's for Ms. Amelia Lane." I curled the corner of my mouth. "She's very sick. She needs the best environment to rest and recover. And one more thing," I added. "Find a discreet nurse to take good care of Ms. Lane around the clock. Make sure no unwanted visitors disturb her recovery." Ethan checked Amelia into a VIP suite at City General. They'd tried to keep it quiet, but news traveled fast in their social circle. Gossip spread like wildfire about how the Hayes Group's future wife had personally sent her love rival to the hospital. My mother called, furious. "Clara Morgan, have you lost your mind? Ethan's humiliating you like this, and you're falling over yourself to wait on that woman." I was going through an email the private investigator had just sent. It contained scanned copies of Amelia's electronic medical records from a private hospital abroad. "Mom," I cut in. "Relax. Your daughter never lets anyone walk all over her. The show's just getting started." Amelia stayed at City General for 3 days. Ethan stayed by her side the entire time. A mountain of work piled up at the office, all of it landing on my desk. On the 4th day, Ethan finally showed up. He looked exhausted, with barely contained irritation simmering behind his eyes. He pushed open my office door and tossed his car keys onto the sofa. "Amelia's condition is stable. I'm back to handle some things." He loosened his tie, his tone gruff. "Thanks for covering for me these past few days. I didn't look up from the documents I was signing." "It's no trouble. Ms. Lane's health comes first." "What did the doctor say she has?" "Exactly. Ethan froze, his gaze darting away. Nothing serious, just gastroenteritis. Plus some exhaustion from the long flight. A few days of rest and she'll be fine. Oh, I set down my pen and looked up at him. Gastroenteritis. Funny. I saw on her private social feed that she'd posted about fresh Nordic oysters flown in just yesterday. Quite the healthy appetite for someone with stomach flu. Ethan's face shifted slightly. That post of Amelia's had been set to visible only to him. He clearly hadn't expected me to find out about it. She's feeling a little better, so she wanted something fresh. His tone was stiff. Don't read into it. I'm not reading into anything. I smiled and picked up the intercom. Page. Bring in the confirmation for Ms. Lane's VIP suite at Concord Maternity. An elegant sweet confirmation letter landed on the desk in front of Ethan. He'd barely glanced at the header when a vein bulged in his forehead. Clara. He shot to his feet, bracing both hands on my desk as he leaned in, his gaze sharp and furious. What is this? Are you trying to humiliate Amelia? Or me? I leaned back in my chair, meeting his blazing stare calmly. Humiliate you? I'm doing her a favor. Top maternity hospital, the best medical team. 24-hour private care. That's 100 times better than a regular gastroenterology ward, isn't it? My tone was innocent. What if it's not gastroenteritis, but something else? Something far more significant. She's not pregnant, Ethan all but roared, his face dark with rage. Clara. You're being cruel. Amelia would never do something like that. Like what? I raised an eyebrow. Like someone who fakes morning sickness to tug at your heartstrings, even though she's not pregnant at all. I picked up my phone, pulled up a photo, and turned the screen toward him. The picture showed Amelia wrapped in a blonde man's arms on a foreign street, her stomach as flat as ever. Timestamp, 1 month ago. And this. I pulled up another shot, taken by the PI at the airport, a full-body photo of Amelia stepping off the plane. Her waist was tiny, her figure hugged tight by a form-fitting dress. There wasn't an ounce of baby bump to be seen. Ethan. My voice turned cold. Tell me this. What? Is it some magic baby that pops out in a month? Or is that 2-month-old baby she's claiming not even yours? Ethan stared at the photos, his pupils blowing wide. His lips moved as he tried to argue, but no words came out. His face went from dark rage to deathly pale. No. That can't be, he mumbled, all the strength draining from him as he collapsed back onto the sofa. Can't be. I scoffed and picked up the landline. Want me to call Dr. Lambert at Concord right now? Schedule an ultrasound. Settle this once and for all. Ethan's head snapped up, his gaze on me tangled with emotion, anger, shock, and a faint, unmissable hint of panic and humiliation. Clara, you. His voice was hoarse. I what? I stood up, looking down at him. I'm here holding your company together while you're off playing daddy to someone else's kid. Ethan. Nothing in this world comes that easy. I grabbed my bag and stepped in front of him. The suite at Concord is held until noon tomorrow. Whether you take her there or not is up to you. I leaned in, my voice light as a feather but cold as ice, right by his ear. And for the record, that foreign friend of hers is named Alex. Wharton grad. Family runs a medical device company. I'm guessing he was the one who diagnosed Amelia's gastroenteritis. Watching his face drain of all color, I straightened up and smiled. Oh. And don't worry about the board. I'll explain where you've been these past few days. Do yourself a favor and get your act together. I turned on my heel and walked out of the office, high heels clicking, never looking back. I left him alone in the silence, left to swallow the tidal wave of humiliation crashing over him. Ethan never took Amelia to Concord Maternity, but he never came back to the office, either. Amelia stayed on in her VIP suite at City General, enjoying her rest and recovery. Ethan all but vanished off the face of the earth. I was more than happy for the peace and quiet, without him cluttering up the office. I ran things even more efficiently, swift and decisive. A handful of senior shareholders who'd long paid Ethan lip service while undermining him. I caught them in their mistakes and put them firmly in their place. Overnight, the entire company was on edge. No one dared underestimate the so-called future Mrs. Hayes anymore. A week later, the Hayes Group hosted its annual corporate gala. As the host, I had to be there. I picked a sleek, minimalist black backless gown, paired with matching pointed toe stilettos. My long hair was swept up in a loose updo, bearing the long line of my neck. The woman in the mirror had a calm gaze and a sharp, commanding presence. Where was the trace of that docile fiancé everyone knew? Paige came to pick me up, and a flicker of awe crossed her face when she saw me. Ms. Morgan. You look different tonight. I smiled. Do I? When you hold your breath long enough, eventually you have to come up for air. The gala was held at the Hayes Group's most luxurious hotel. The room was filled with glamour and the clink of champagne flutes. I held a glass of champagne, moving smoothly from one group of guests to the next, charming, effortless, completely in my element. That was when Ethan walked in. He wore a crisp black suit, his frame still tall and straight, but a heavy, lingering gloom hung over his features. On his arm was Amelia Lane. Amelia wore a moon-white lace gown, her makeup flawless, but her face deliberately pale and delicate. She clung to Ethan like a fragile bird, her gaze sweeping the room with a faint, smug superiority. When her eyes locked with mine, that superiority swelled, laced with open challenge. Looks like Ethan had done plenty to smooth things over for her these past few days. The guests exchanged knowing looks. Murmurs rippled through the air like static electricity. Wow, he actually brought her. Is Mr. Hayes trying to start a war? Ms. Morgan's right there. That's just brutal. Keep your voice down. Let's see how Ms. Morgan handles this. Ethan walked straight toward me, Amelia on his arm. His gaze was heavy, set with the recklessness of someone with nothing left to lose. Clara. His voice was rough. Amelia's just getting better. She wanted to get some fresh air. Amelia coughed delicately on cue, shrinking further into Ethan's side. Her voice was soft and sweet. I'm sorry to intrude on your gala, Ms. Morgan. Ethan. He just worries about me so much. As she spoke, her hand drifted unconsciously, perfectly naturally, to her still flat stomach. The implication couldn't have been clearer. The room went silent in an instant. Dozens of eyes locked on me like spotlights. Some held sympathy, some pity, but most brimmed with the thrill of watching a train wreck. Ethan's body went visibly stiff. He shot Amelia a complicated look, but he didn't stop her. I swirled the champagne in my glass, the golden liquid glinting cold under the crystal chandeliers. Not at all. Ms. Lane. I smiled faintly, my gaze dropping to her stomach. I'm glad you're feeling better, though. I drew out the word deliberately, successfully yanking every eye in the room to me, including Ethan's, which sharpened instantly. Amelia's fragile smile froze, a flicker of panic darting through her eyes. Though what? Ethan asked, his voice low. I set down my glass and pulled my phone slowly from my clutch. A few taps of my finger, and an audio file popped up on the screen. I looked at Amelia, my smile growing warmer, more innocent. Ms. Lane, I'm curious, does your friend Alex vacationing in Miami? Isn't he? No, you're carrying his precious baby, and you've so kindly dumped it on Mr. Hayes to raise. My voice was steady, not too loud, but it carried clearly to every corner of the room. Boom. The crowd erupted. Alex. Who's Alex? Dumped the baby on him. Holy crap, that's a lot. Is Amelia actually pregnant? With some foreign guy's kid? Is Mr. Hayes getting played for a sap? Stuck raising another man's kid? Amelia's face drained of color, going white as a sheet. Her hand flew back from her stomach like she'd been burned. You're lying. Her voice was shrill, thick with trembling and terror she couldn't hide. Clara, you're making this up. You're just jealous of me. Jealous of you. I let out a soft laugh, like I'd just heard the funniest joke in the world. In the silent ballroom, the sound cut sharp. Jealous that you're cheating on Ethan, or jealous that you think a fake lab report is gonna let you cash in with a baby. I'm not. Amelia shrieked, completely unraveling. She grabbed Ethan's arm, desperate. Ethan. She's crazy. She's slandering me. You have to believe me. Ethan's face was beyond furious. It was the dark calm before a storm, the silence right before a volcano erupted. He stared daggers at me, his gaze sharp and poisonous. Proof, Clara. The words ground out between his teeth. If you can't prove this, you won't walk out of here tonight. He was still fighting, still clinging to the last thread of denial. Or maybe, deep down, he just couldn't bear to face the ugly truth. Sure, I nodded easily. I tapped the screen once. Click. The recording streamed from my phone via Bluetooth, straight to the ballroom's state-of-the-art sound system. In an instant, Amelia's familiar, honeyed voice blared loud and clear through the grand, gilded ballroom. Alex, baby, I just landed. Yeah, Ethan picked me up, so worried about me. Relax, I'm selling it. Threw up a couple times and he totally panicked. Hospital. I don't need him to arrange anything. Told him it's gastroenteritis. Just a few days stay. Money. Of course he's paying. He owes me. Baby. Pfft. That idiot actually thinks I'm carrying his kid. It's hilarious. We hook up every time. I'm on birth control. Duh. Why would I ever have his baby? Of course I love you most. Baby. Once I bleed this sucker Ethan dry and get the money, we'll go to the Maldives. That Clara girl. Please. Total pushover. Just some rich brat with daddy's money. If she tries to make a fuss, Ethan'll shut her down first. Once I have Ethan wrapped around my finger, I'll dump her and all the Hayes family money will be ours. Dead silence. Total, absolute silence. Amelia's smug, cutting voice still echoed clearly through the room. Every word landed like a sharp, stinging slap right across Ethan's face, and it shattered Amelia's poor, fragile little mask to pieces. Ethan swayed on his feet. He whipped his head toward her, his eyes blazing with shock, rage, and the searing humiliation of being played so hot it felt like it could burn her to ash. No. Ethan, it's not real. She edited it. She's trying to ruin me. Amelia completely broke down, tears streaming down her face as she lunged for him. Ethan shoved her away hard, like he'd been touched by something filthy. The force sent her stumbling back in her heels with a scream, and she crashed to the floor in a heap. Her moon-white dress was stained with champagne, her carefully styled hair came loose, and her perfect makeup ran down her face like a cheap doll that had been smashed to the ground. So much for that pure, untouchable ideal he'd worshipped for years. You bitch. The words tore out of Ethan's throat. A vein bulged in his forehead. His chest heaving was furious beyond words. The guests all held their breath. Stares of shock, contempt, and schadenfreude pricked at Ethan and Amelia like 1,000 needles. I stood there calmly, watching the spectacular show I'd orchestrated, watching Ethan's rage and humiliation, watching Amelia's ruin and despair. I felt nothing, just a quiet, settled calm. I picked up a fresh glass of champagne from a passing waiter's tray. I stepped forward, graceful, until I stood over Amelia, crumpled and shaking on the floor, looking down at her. Then I tilted my wrist. Cold, golden champagne, fizzing with tiny bubbles perfectly aimed, poured straight over her carefully styled hair, running down her face, drenching her from head to toe. She looked utterly pathetic. Ms. Lane, my voice carried clearly through the room. This is for your performance, and I wish you and your dear Alex a long, happy life together in the Maldives. I set down the empty glass, ignoring the venomous, murderous look in her eyes, and ignoring Ethan's gaze, heavy with tangled, agonized emotion. I turned, faced the crowd with a polite, distant smile. My apologies for the spectacle. Please enjoy the rest of your evening. The gala continues. I gave a small nod. Then, under the weight of hundreds of stares, shocked, admiring, even fearful, I walked away, spine straight, heels clicking, like a queen surveying her kingdom. Calm, unhurried, I walked out of the chaos, out of the drama, leaving the mess behind, along with the humiliation and shame of that perfect couple, leaving it all in the dust. News of the gala fiasco spread through the entire social circle overnight. Ethan Hayes became a total laughingstock. Amelia Lane was completely ruined, labeled a gold digger and a manipulative bitch. Every detail about her and Alex was dug up and laid bare. Ethan tried to reach me, calls, texts, even showing up at my front door. I blocked him on everything. I had security tell him, Ms. Morgan says the engagement is off. Mr. Hayes is advised to conduct himself with dignity. Further harassment will be reported as trespassing. The Hayes Group's stock plummeted. The board of directors descended into chaos. A handful of senior board members went straight to my father, Their message was clear. Ethan couldn't fix the mess he'd made. It was time for him to step aside. The Morgan family was the real backbone of the Hayes Group. My father looked at me. Clara, what do you think? I closed the project evaluation report in my hands. My tone flat. Dad. Patching up a sinking ship like the Hayes Group is a waste of time. It's time we got off. A month later, the Hayes Group filed for bankruptcy and restructuring on behalf of the Morgan family. I cleanly wrapped up all equity liquidation and asset divestment. Ethan waited outside my office for an entire day, begging to see me one last time. I left through the underground parking garage instead. A few days later, I got a text from an unknown number. Clara. I'm sorry, I was so wrong, so unbelievably wrong. Give me a chance to make it right. I glanced at it, then deleted it. Make it right. Once something's dirty, once it's broken, you can glue it back together. But the cracks never go away. It's just unpleasant to look at. The riverfront penthouse I'd owned, meant to be our marital home. I listed it for sale immediately. The day the realtor brought buyers by, the sun was shining bright outside the floor-to-ceiling windows. The river glinted in the light. Ms. Morgan, the place is in perfect condition. The views are incredible. The buyers are very interested. And the offer is fair. What do you think? Sign it. I cut off the agent's rambling and signed the contract swiftly. Not a single trace of regret. The day the full payment cleared, I went to the bank. When I came out, I held a bank statement in my hand. I took a photo of it and sent it to that number once in my contacts. Now long blocked. Final payment settled. We're even. Don't contact me again. The money was the principal my father had invested in the Hayes Group, plus fair interest. Every last cent, accounted for down to the dollar. From that day on, the Morgan family and Ethan Hayes had nothing to do with each other. 3 months later, Starlight Technologies' new product launch. As the hottest AI unicorn in the industry right now, the venue was packed with media from everywhere. I wore a sharp white suit dress, standing under the spotlights as I calmly presented the company's next-generation AI medical imaging diagnostic system. In the front row, a man in a tailored dark gray suit watched me intently, a faint smile of admiration on his lips. That was Samuel Voss, founder and CEO of Starlight Technologies, and my current business partner. At the celebration banquet after the launch, Samuel walked over with a glass of champagne, then handed me a glass of juice. Great work today, Clara. That presentation was flawless. I took the juice with a small smile. All thanks to your leadership, Samuel. He looked at me with genuine appreciation. Honestly, when you came to me with the Morgan family's capital and resources wanting to partner up, I hesitated. He paused, his smile deepening with a hint of mischief. I thought you were just another rich girl nursing a broken heart, looking for a new project to distract yourself. I raised an eyebrow. And now, Samuel let out a low, warm laugh. Now I think that guy Ethan must have won the cosmic lottery to land you, and then blew up his entire luck to lose you. I laughed at his unusual way of putting it. Samuel, is that supposed to be a compliment? Absolutely. He clinked his champagne glass gently against my juice glass, his gaze sincere. Clara, partnering with you is one of the best decisions I've ever made. The glasses chimed softly. Under the lights, his deep eyes held a tiny reflection of me, confident, calm, shining bright. Near the end of the banquet, I stepped out onto the terrace for some fresh air. The early autumn night breeze carried a faint chill. A warm men's suit jacket settled gently over my shoulders. Samuel stood beside me. Don't catch a cold, he said casually. We stood side by side, looking out at the glittering city lights. We were quiet for a moment. Then he spoke, his voice soft, with a faint, nervous edge I almost missed. Clara, So he cleared his throat, uncharacteristically flustered. Next month's my mom's birthday. We're having a small dinner at home. She's mentioned a few times that she'd love to meet you. The famous Ms. Morgan. He turned to look at me, the street lamp glow softening the sharp lines of his face. I was wondering if I'd have the honor of inviting you as my girlfriend. The night wind stirred my hair. I watched the thousands of city lights reflected on the river below. Once, I'd thought one of those lights was my home. Now I knew it was just a flickering fishing lantern, ready to go out at any moment. But the man beside me's gaze was warm, bright, and sincere. I pulled his warm jacket tighter around me. Breathing in his scent, I turned to meet his expectant, nervous gaze. I smiled. Okay. Surprise and joy burst in his eyes like fireworks in the night sky. He reached for me on instinct, then stopped. Like he was afraid he'd be too forward. I stepped forward first and gave him a soft hug. It was a light, brief embrace, but it felt warm, and solid, and real. When we pulled apart, the tips of his ears were pink like a giddy teenager with his first crush. I couldn't help but laugh. Samuel, you're a billionaire tech mogul. Can you at least try to play it cool? Playing it cool is hard when I'm around you. He smiled easily, then reached out and took my hand. Like it was the most natural thing in the world. Warm and strong. We walked off the terrace, fingers laced together, back into the warm, noisy banquet hall. No one noticed our clasped hands, except for a haggard, unshaven figure huddled in the corner. Ethan. He must have gone through a lot of trouble to sneak in. He stared at our joined hands, his face ashen, his eyes full of pain, regret, and bitter longing. Like a caged animal, Samuel noticed my gaze pause and followed it to Ethan. He squeezed my hand a little tighter, a quiet gesture of support. Then he leaned in and murmured in my ear, his voice cool, "Want me to have him escorted out?" I looked at Ethan. At the state he was in, all the old affection, all the later anger, all of it had turned to complete indifference. I looked away, back at Samuel, and smiled, shaking my head. No need. He doesn't matter. I pulled him along, never breaking stride, and walked right past Ethan, eyes straight ahead, like he was nothing more than a patch of inconvenient air. When we stepped outside the hotel, the night wind hit our faces. Samuel held the car door open for me. Once I was inside, he leaned over to fasten my seatbelt. He was so close I could smell his clean, crisp cedar cologne. When he was done, he didn't pull back right away. He just looked at me, his gaze deep. Soft music played in the quiet car. Clara, did I ever tell you? His voice was low, rough and magnetic. How stunning you looked back there. Saying he didn't matter. My heart skipped a beat. Samuel, is this workplace harassment? I asked, feigning a serious expression. He laughed low in his chest. Probably. He admitted it openly, his gaze burning. So, what are you going to do about it? I looked at his handsome face, so close to mine, and the raw affection in his eyes. The last faint shadow in my heart scattered, blown away by that warm, gentle feeling. I reached up, took hold of his expensive tie, and pulled him closer. The consequences I breathed in his ear, soft and warm. I'll tell you all about them when we get home. His eyes darkened instantly. The next second, his warm mouth was on mine, a kiss firm and unyielding, soft, but possessive, just like him. After a long moment, he pulled back, our foreheads resting together, both of us breathing a little fast. Clara, I can't wait to marry you. I pushed him gently and sat up straight, fixing my slightly messy hair, but I couldn't stop smiling. We've got plenty of time. Samuel, no rush. The car glided smoothly into the night. Lights streamed past the windows. I leaned back, watching the profile of the man beside me as he focused on driving. I felt calmer, more at peace than I ever had before. The darkness of the past, that man Ethan, all the hurt and humiliation he'd brought was finally crushed completely, left behind in the rushing night wind. Ahead, the road was bright. 1 year later, a private island, sun, sand, and sea. A small wedding, with only close family and friends. No media, no chaos, just the blue ocean, white drapes, and the sincere well wishes of the people we loved. I wore a simple satin mermaid gown, no elaborate veil, just a fresh lily of the valley tucked into my hair. Samuel wore a matching suit, waiting for me at the altar. Sunlight fell on him, gilding him in warm gold. He watched me walk toward him, his eyes brimming with so much love it felt tangible. His hands shook a little when we exchanged rings. The minister said, "You may kiss the bride." He cupped my face gently, like I was something precious, and kissed me tenderly, soft, like I was the rarest treasure in the world. The reception was held on an open lawn right by the ocean. The mood was warm and romantic. Samuel was pulled away by a few friends for drinks. I took a glass of juice and walked out to the empty viewing terrace. The sea breeze was soft. My knee buzzed. A text from Ethan. Clara, happy wedding day. I know I don't deserve to say this, but I'm sorry, Anne. Thank you for making me see how stupid I was. I read the text calmly. I didn't block him. I didn't reply. It was like reading an old, irrelevant news story. Then I deleted it. All the past love, hate, resentment ended right there. Familiar footsteps sounded behind me. Samuel wrapped his arms around me from behind. Smelling faintly of alcohol, his chin rested lightly on the top of my head. Why are you hiding out here alone? Tired. His voice was lazy and soft, warm from the wine. No. I leaned back into his embrace, relaxed, just getting some air. He tightened his arms, holding me closer. Wife, you're so beautiful. He kissed the top of my head, his tone content, like he held the whole world in his arms. I turned around and wrapped my arms around his neck. Mr. Voss, I have a secret to tell you. What is it? His eyes lit up. I stood on my tiptoes and leaned in, whispering so only he could hear. I think I might actually be sick today. He froze. Then it hit him. His eyes went wide, bursting with disbelief and pure, overwhelming joy more than even at the ceremony. You mean? His voice cracked with excitement. He rested his hands gently on my stomach, like he was afraid to press too hard. I laughed at his stunned, giddy expression and nodded hard. Yeah, Samuel. You're going to be a dad. The sea breeze blew softly. In the distance, waves lapped gently at the sand. He swept me up into his arms, spinning me around in circles like a kid who'd just gotten his favorite present. This is amazing, Clara. This is perfect, he babbled happily, holding me close and kissing my forehead, my eyes, my cheeks, over and over. Then he kissed me deep, full of endless joy and gratitude. I love you, he murmured against my lips. I love you too, I whispered back. He held me, not wanting to let me go. Moonlight, starlight, and the distant glow of the reception wove together like a soft, warm blanket around us. Happiness was right there, within reach. I rested against his solid chest, feeling his steady, strong heartbeat. My hand rested lightly on my still flat stomach. A new life was growing there. One that belonged fully to Samuel and me. A little life, completely separate from the past, made only of love and hope. This time, it was real. Hey there, could you rate this story in the comments? Use a scale of 1 to 10, please. I am begging you. It really means a lot to me. And if you like this kind of content, don't forget to hit follow.